What's up, guys? This is your SoCal fishing forecast for Thursday, November 4th. Quick reminder, if you're not familiar with the Save SoCal Sport Fishing campaign, it's not specifically just the SoCal, but Save California Sport Fishing, California Air Resource Board is going to impose the regulations that they've drafted on our commercial fishing fleet. What does that mean? Well, if you're not aware, most of these boats run on diesel motors. Most of them are tier 2, tier 3 diesel motors that are pretty efficient and help keep sport fishing boats efficient and cost effective for recreational anglers like myself. And what's going to happen here is that the legislation that has already been drafted and written is going to go into effect, requiring all of these commercial boats to upgrade their motors to a tier 4 diesel motor. And a tier 4 diesel motor requires DEF, high temp exhaust to make it all work. And unfortunately, most of these boats are wood or fiberglass. And these retrofits wouldn't work or make the boat unsafe. Or two, they don't make a diesel motor with enough horsepower to even replace the existing ones that are in these boats anyway. So the problem is that this legislation is going to kick in and is basically going to shut down all these operators, which are family-run businesses, from operating, and which is going to significantly reduce our sport fishing fleet in all of California. So what we're looking for with this campaign is an exemption and some concessions to make sure that all these boats are at least a tier 3, which is available to them, which does not require high temperature exhaust, and we can keep operating these boats and also at a reasonable cost. So what we need to do, this is the most important. You can visit savefishing.com, which is one matter, but the most important one, and I think it's going to go directly to the source, is that this subject is open to comments from now until November 15th. And please go to the link. I'm going to leave it in the comment section. You need to submit a comment. We've got about 1,500 comments submitted so far. And I know the SoCal recreational sport fishermen out there, there's a lot more of you than 1,500. So please make your voice heard. I know it's a very passionate topic for most people and family-run businesses, but please put your name there. Write something that you would be acceptable saying to your family members about in a nice, sincere way, because this is a matter of public record, okay? And express the importance of sport fishing and making an exception to these family-run businesses that we all use every season. So do your part, please. Next is the SoCal Swordfish Open. This is our first swordfish tournament in Southern California. I'm going to tell you, this tournament is not about the money. I know it's like $300 to register. This tournament is not about the money. So this is the first one that's out there. Kind of see how it goes. IGFA rules do apply, so please make sure that you read the FAQ and all those details here. No electric reels. Okay, they want this IGFA old school style. You can use a drill. Read into it if you're really interested about it, or if you're interested in learning more about deep drop sword fishing in California, check out the SoCal Swordfish Club on Facebook. Really good group of guys in there sharing their techniques and things that they've learned in their experience. There's not a high volume of fish being taken in this type of fishing. This is a long run type of fishing here. Everyone's trying to learn from each other. We have so much to learn about this type of fishing. But they are going to have an IGFA tournament here coming up in a couple of weeks. So if you're interested, make sure you check this out. All right, let's get into the weather. Typical fall turning winter conditions here. We got a little bit of fog today. That's going to be an issue out there as well. So please make sure you check your local forecast before you head out. This stuff changes pretty dynamic here in the fall and winter months. So things can turn on a dime, but overall weather is looking pretty steady. But we do have some wind coming up here that we need to talk about. And this concerns especially the bluefin folks like myself who like to be out there on the water. And you can tell right now it's showing, 20 knots out there at Cortez and Tanner Bank, which is not going to be very helpful to A, water temps, and B, overall just getting out there on a sport boat or a private boat when the wind is up. So as you can tell, Thursday, Friday don't look so great. And even if the wind is not directly on the bank, if it's uphill, guys, up here, you're gonna have a swell generating, pushing downhill. So just because it dries up for a second, but I want you to see the trend here. We have a continuous trend of wind. It's not stopping, so you can have a building wind swell coming from that. Now, Sunday does look a little bit better, and it turns off into next week, which is looking pretty solid. We got a little bit of a California eddy going on here. So this is all way too hard to tell this far out, being that it is fall season. Now we have a south wind. Like I said, these things change very rapidly, and so could this wind forecast. So please make sure you do your homework before you head that way. Check out your reports. Call your landings if you're unsure if they're going to run or not, and they'll get you pointed in the right direction. With that being said, we can check out our offshore marine forecast, and you can see this west swell I'm talking about, 4 to 7 feet at 15 seconds. Is coming up Friday, and a little bit on Thursday as well. And then Sunday it starts to look a lot better, but you see how I'm talking about here. Just because the wind stops doesn't mean that the swell does. So we still have a west 3 to 5 foot swell, and this is 30 to 60 miles out, including San Clemente Island. Now what this does not include is Tanner Bank. And the reason why I tell you that is because here is the forecast from San Clemente Island to Guadalupe, from 60 nautical miles west to 120 nautical miles. So this would include Tanner and Cortez Bank, and look what we got. 10 to 20 knots, seas 7 to 11 feet, getting a lot bigger. So this is stuff you got to look at, and I know the swell is pretty spread out. Looks like 15 seconds. That's not too bad, but it's the wind on top of that. You got to watch combined together, which gets you in some trouble. So as always, you can check out 17foot.com, free website, and they have all of the buoys that are out there on the West Coast, and you can see exactly what's going on. So, for example, we're talking about Tanner. Click on Tanner Bank buoy. Boom. There's all the latest information, wind speed, water temps, all the stuff you want to know. You can click and see the charts. So let's see if you want to look at wind speed. Boom, there's your wind speed. Cool. So you can check out the trends for that. All right, let's talk about fishing. Went on the tribute for a 2-day trip over the weekend. A couple subscribers happened to be on the boat also. We had a really good time. We had pretty nice conditions, actually. I like to say that. Wind was very, very calm. Just enough wind to get the kite up on Tanner and Cortez. Unfortunately, the fishing was not excellent for us. Friday night is when we head out. On Thursday, the Polaris Supreme was out there already on a 3-day trip, and they whacked them pretty good. They had quite a bit of fish of the smaller grade, that 30 to 80 pound stuff during the day. That bit really good for them on the sinker rig. And then they had some bigger fish on the kite, including it was over 300 pounds. That a 10-year-old girl and her dad shared. That was pretty rad, hearing about over the radio. And they got a really nice fish. Ourselves, we spent a lot of time out there, and it seemed like a lot of fish were out there stuck on the 14 line on the west side. And there's about 6 or 7 boats out there, and early morning everyone was spread out between Tanner and Cortez. Everyone was talking to each other, trying to find these fish. And we found a pretty good school that was a couple miles wide, and everyone was pretty much posted up on that. Unfortunately, all day we fished the sinker rig, we fished jigs, we fished the kite. I'll tell you, the kite probably had 10 blowups on it and only one stuck. Saw a legitimate 300 plus pounder jump 3/4 out of the water right on top of it, and they just bumped it off its nose and never got it in its mouth. Pretty rad to see. What did work though was flatfall jig, specifically anchovy color. I can't tell you why, but that's the only thing that they bid on our trip when it comes to bluefin. We didn't have any fish on anything smaller, whether it be 0 fly line fish for us, 0 sinker rig fish for us. 3 fish were hung, all on anchovy colored flatfall, from 160 gram to 350 gram. 2 of them were hung on the same jig, both lost, pulled the hooks out. One of the hooks is definitely bent on the first one. Yeah, two heartbreaks for the same guy. That's rough. But it all comes into the things that remind you to tell you keep tension on the fish, keep the rod bent, and when you get them up and down, especially on these jigs, guys, these are not circle hooks. They don't land in their mouth when you're using the assist hooks. It's like hooking a fish with a ninja star. They end up where they end up, and hopefully they're in deep, and hopefully they stick. So you gotta get them to the boat as quickly as possible. The third one was lost due to too light a line, broke off on 60 pounds. So for us, only the heavy setups was really what you needed, and anything less than a heavy setup didn't get it. So we got one fish on the kite, came in right at like 225, really nice fish, and that guy put the hard work in, and we got to the boat and gaffed it up real nice. Now, I'll tell you, every day is different. Today, I heard there was a couple other boats out there, and they were getting a lot of the smaller grade fish again, from 30 to 80, and they were coming on from 40 to 60 pound tests with number 2 hooks. Maybe go to a 1/0. The bait that we had was pretty small, so I tried like a thinner 1/0 that was reined in. It swam okay, but the number 2 hook really would fit in the bait the best. But like I said, we had nothing on fly line. They weren't interested in that whatsoever. But every day's a different day, so you need to bring something a little bit different. Bring a variety of jigs. We also tried the night jigging also. We had zero luck with that. But I know Jeff Price's trip on the Thunderbird was out there. It came back yesterday, and they had a couple on the knife jigs as well. So every day's a new day. You need to adapt your technique to what's working, and look at the guys around you. If everyone's fishing, a flat fall jig and no one's getting bit, switch up the color, do whatever everyone else is not doing if no one's getting bit. So you just gotta constantly change your technique and earn those bites, and hopefully it works out for you. So we didn't hang out very long. We hung out till like 8, and with the slow fishing, there was better fishing for kelp patty, yellowtail, back towards the upper 500, down by the bonnet bank. And we ended up studying that way overnight, and we woke up there and started looking at the conditions. It was absolutely a sheet of glass out there. You could look so far in the gyros for kelp patties. It's ridiculous. I spent some time in the gyros myself up there trying to pick some stuff out, and the first thing we got on was trolling was a Dorado. And in 66-degree water, it was definitely a surprise down here at the upper 500, thinking that most of the stuff had already gone way further south down to San Catine. So my thought instantly was, well, if we caught a Dorado, there's going to be some yellowfin around. And we did eventually find 2 schools of yellowfin. First one we got was on a troll in about the same area. And then the second one, we saw some jumpers. We cruised over, hooked up a couple of those. Wasn't lights out. I think we ended up with like 10 yellowfin total. But at least we definitely got a couple. Kelp patty fishing. One patty was those really small rats, 1 pound and under. And then the second one that we lit up pretty good was better grade stuff, like 6-7 pound yellowtail. But at least it was some fun fishing. I will tell you that somewhere between the upper hidden and the 425, we did spot some bluefin. They did not cooperate. They pieced out really quick. Not a whole lot of volume of tuna in this area, guys. But it's at least a sign that it hasn't all 120 miles south. So if you're looking to come this way, maybe you'll find something. Maybe you won't. Kelp patty yellowtail fishing also out here between the 371, 302, 230 area. There's been a couple of boats fishing that, mainly the 3/4 day San Diego boats. And again, it's a lot more of that smaller grade stuff. But if you're looking for something to do, catch a couple yellows, maybe you might run into some of those little 7-pounders. A little more fun to pull on than some of those rats. As far as the rest of the fishing goes, Coronado Islands, not a whole lot going on there whatsoever. You can tell this water is still green and turned over. We'll talk about San Clemente Island. There's rumor that there's some squid starting to show up in Pyramid Cove, probably in the caves area. That's where I would be looking. No signs of predators resembling sea bass or yellowtail yet. Same thing goes for Catalina. There was a little bit of abundance of squid out in Silver Canyon and the V's, but no predators yet. So still a little early for that type of fishing, but we got our fingers crossed and our hopes up, and hopefully something turns on. Oil spill still has this fishery closed here. Guys, we've been talking about this. This doesn't make any sense at this point, and it doesn't sound like anyone's even enforcing it. So it is closed by definition. So if you want to gamble and go fish those areas, just messing around, catch and release, maybe you probably won't be ecstatic about it, but it is by definition closed. So just be aware if a game were inception. So, all right, guys, that's it this week for the most part. We are going to be doing a end of year sale on our website. So use the code SAVE20 to save 20% off, and hopefully with some of these extra products that you could use for next year in your pocket at a discounted price. Next week, I'm going to try and put something out on Tuesday. Wednesday, I want to plane to Texas to go shoot some birds. So trying to get one last trip in here before my first child's on its way. So, all right, guys, take care. Have a good one. Cheers. If you like what you saw today, you can subscribe to our channel or follow us along on Instagram and Facebook. And always remember, share the stoke.